Prepper boys, do spade. We gotta survive, yeah, we gotta survive. To stay alive, yeah, to stay alive. You better be ready, or you better be steady. No, you don't be pathetic. It can happen. Prepper boys, you just gotta watch it all. It can happen. Prepper boys, when the backs against the wall. It can happen. Prepper boys, and there's no one left to fall. It can happen. Prepper boys, it can happen any minute.
Okay, friends.
What's up?
Welcome to episode 5 of the Prepper Boys podcast. My name is Ryan, my co-host, as always.
Jordan. That's me.
That's you. What's up, man?
That's me.
What's up, man?
What's up? I gotta clear my throat.
No.
Sorry about that.
No. No time to clear your throat at the end of the world.
I already did it.
What you been up to, fam?
Oh, you know, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I've been working.
I've been less angry about...
Why even less angry?
I don't know. Just not been as... Not been getting... just angry about things. Fucking what do you want from me?
I don't know. You asked me.
Now you've made me angry.
Well, you know... I don't know. I really don't have anything to say about that.
I don't either. I mean, what are we doing?
Well, see you later.
Show's over.
Yeah. It was really nice. It's not your fault. Your mom and I just we don't get along very well.
Yeah, I would say I'm not sad. I'm not angry. I'm not even really sad. I'm like
Disappointed.
Not disappointed. It's like all the symptoms of being depressed, but I'm not upset. I'm just unmotivated.
The first stage is denial.
I'm denying
So
that I'm depressed.
So maybe you really are depressed.
I don't think that's the first step of depression.
I don't know these things. I just hear it on TV.
The first step of depression is suicide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the very first step.
So that means like everybody else who's gone past that are just really shitty at being depressed?
No, nobody who's gone that far is depressed.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
yeah.
something else.
Yeah, it's something else.
And you have a degree in psychology and
Yes.
psychiatry? Okay.
I have a degree in low blood pressure,
That seems legit.
and that's what most people have. Most problems are just low blood pressure.
Low blood pressure and low blood sugar.
Yes, that's all it is. No, man, I don't know. Nothing's really going on. I'm the same as you. I've just been working.
Yeah, it's been working, and I've been working on trying to get my food store up.
Yeah, I've been working and then working on prep list and reviewing things. I will say, though, we had a pretty gnarly tornado come through our area 2 weeks ago.
I actually saw videos of it crossing the interstate.
Yeah, it is pretty fucking intense. And people are just like woefully unprepared for things like that. And it's so easy to not be unprepared for it.
Wait, what?
It just just people who had like absolutely nothing ready for it. And it's like, This is tornado season.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think about it. People in that area, that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, wintertime, it does snow there. It does ice, but nobody ever thinks about it until 2 days before it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. And that's another thing, too, that just talking about that stuff is, especially like if you live in an area that has a lot of tornadoes, you can sometimes like start to underestimate how serious they'll be.
Yeah.
Because people, like, I know for me and you, I don't think you or I have ever been through like a direct hit tornado.
No, I mean, I've never even seen one in the distance.
Yeah, neither have I. But we've both certainly grown up around tornadoes our whole lives. And it's just the sort of thing that you're consistently like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they always happen. What are you going to do? You know what I mean?
I've been to storm shelters, and cellars and stuff. And case of, and I've also been out on a front porch looking to try to find one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like the Oklahoma, Arkansas way. Probably
Yeah.
Kansas as well.
I got really stupid actually though when the tornadoes hit because I wasn't at work, but and they were never gonna come close to far enough north to hit where we were. They all hit south of us, but I was like, I should go to work and just go hang out with the crews that are going out driving. And it's like such a fucking dumb idea. So yeah, I know what you mean. You do kind of hit that back and forth of it, of like sometimes being super afraid of it, and then other times just like, yeah, I should probably go look for that. So, but yeah, and then too, a lot of the people that survived, they survived just by having storm shelters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, so that's also about the, where you live, because down here, a basement is pretty much unheard of, even though it's going to be a safe place in the event of a hurricane, but you just don't want to drown.
yeah, I'm not sure why basements aren't more prevalent in Oklahoma and Arkansas. You'd think that they would be.
I mean, it probably also has to do with the type of ground and the soil and stuff. It's going to be incredibly rocky.
Because I know everywhere up north, when I grew up in Michigan and then in Indiana, in Illinois, everybody has a fucking basement.
Yeah.
So I guess that's just part of it down here is something to do with the soil. Just
Well, also the basements were usually where people up there will keep, the furnaces and stuff like that. To heat the house, whereas in that area you kind of don't really need that if you have anything other than some sort of like HVAC unit. It's going to be a fireplace or a wood burning stove.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're very much in the midst of tornado season. But Jordan, there's some other disasters that have been going on.
Like what?
Well, I need you to think about what time of year it is.
Springtime.
Oh, dumbass! You're supposed to say what time is it?
Oh, sorry. Okay, what time is it?
Let's check the doomsday clock.
Let's check the doomsday clock, Jordan.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction that it has not moved.
It hasn't. It has not moved, but it almost did.
Oh.
Looking at the news, the doomsday news here recently. So we're actually past it. Today's April 25th, so we're 2 days past. But on April 23rd, supposed to be the start of the end of the world, according to the fine folks that believe in Planet X.
Oh, yeah.
Holy fuck, those guys are crazy.
Old Planet X.
Also called Nibiru.
Huh.
Which I thought was like an African thing.
I mean, I don't really know. I don't know much about Planet X other than it is supposed to destroy us all.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even really know what it's supposed to be about.
A planet crashing into us.
Oh, is that what
Isn't
it
it
is?
supposed to be? Yeah, I mean, isn't it supposed to be like fairly close, but we just can't see it or something?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know, man. A rogue planet called Planet X was supposedly passed by Earth in October and cause a planet-wide mess. That will
So here's the
culminate.
question.
Oh, is it Jesus-based?
I don't know.
This says that
Like, is Planet X supposed to be heaven?
No. But it says that it's all supposed to culminate in the return of Jesus Christ.
Oh.
I've never heard that bit of it. This is my exposure to Planet X, okay? I had stopped at a gas station one day, and as I was walking out, a homeless man asked me for $5. And so I gave him like $1 or something. And he said, "Oh, that was a test. You're one of the good ones. This is all you need to know." And he handed me a slip of paper that just said Planet X on it. And he said, "You need to go home and read about this because it's real and it's going to happen." And that's a pretty fucking crazy way to kick it off, first of all. But yeah.
So you're saying he was an angel?
He was, yeah. He was like an angel or a prophet sent to save me.
I hate to dash your dreams, but most likely nothing is going to come of that. I'm hoping nothing will come of that, because I've had experiences of being in parking lots and people handing me random literature about things. One specific time was New Year's Eve. I was in a car waiting on my cousin who was in a convenience store buying cigarettes. And guy comes up to me, he's talking to me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, I'm just waiting on my cousin. It's like, "Oh, are y'all gonna party tonight?" I'm like, "No, not really. We're just gonna hang out and stay in." And then my cousin comes outside, gets in the car, and the guy hands us a little religious tract or whatever you want to call it, and just right to our faces, "Well, you're gonna die tonight." And that was my experience.
That's cryptic, bro.
Yeah.
Did it come true?
Come to find out, it was just some crazy. No, it was not true. It was not true. I think this could be like Sixth Sense, and I could just be kind of talking to myself, and this whole little.
This is a dead podcast, a ghost podcast.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know.
If that's true, the afterlife is pretty realistic.
The Planet X stuff is just fucking. It doesn't make any sense. It's like flat Earth.
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't you see Planet X by now?
Well, I mean, it could be behind some clouds.
I mean, I guess it could be like super far away and like shuttling through space.
Just going so fast. And that's probably why there is no orbit involved with this thing, is that it can't orbit anything and nothing can orbit it because it's just blazing through space.
Right, but even if that was the case, telescopes can still see far away. They can see past our fucking solar system.
Not to mention, if it was traveling so fast that it could not be spotted that way, it would have already destroyed us. So maybe that's like some kind of weird space-time continuum thing that we've already been destroyed. It was just so fast that it hasn't taken effect yet.
Well, no, see, even that doesn't make sense, though, because even if it was blazing so fast that it was unseeable to the eye, it would be heading towards us. So you would still see it.
Hey, man. Titanic didn't see that damn iceberg, but shit, it sure enough sank on its own.
It's not the same.
Just like that.
Not the same thing. In other news, North Korea has suspended their nuclear program indefinitely.
I think it's a trap.
I don't think it's a trap. I just don't think it matters.
Well, they're ending the Korean War, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They're talking about it.
I think North Korea is just trying to bring in South Korea, have them to suppress their suspicion of anything, and then all of a sudden North Korea is going to just try to attack and take over South Korea.
Maybe. I don't think it's
because that's what I would do.
Right, and you do look a lot like Kim Jong-un.
I mean, at one point in time, we had the same haircut. Not that shit that he has now, though.
And if I try to type your name into my phone, sometimes it'll autocorrect to Korean.
That is true.
Same keystrokes. And on the back of that, a North Korean nuclear site has collapsed, threatening an unpredicted risk of radioactive nuclear fallout.
So that's why they're suspending the program, aren't they?
I don't know. Well, that just happened today.
Like, oh shit, we don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah. So it looks like they're actually supposed to meet on Friday. He's supposed to meet with South Korea. So I don't know.
I have a question for you.
What's that?
Do you think Dennis Rodman will be involved in the talks at all?
No, I don't think so. Maybe,
well,
but I doubt it.
That's a shame.
I guess. I don't know. I'm sick of fucking that shit, man. People.
I think a lot of people are.
I'm sick of people getting involved with stuff. Just leave them alone. They'll figure it out. It's not a big deal.
Leave Britney alone.
Leave Britney alone. So yeah, man, that is the news. There wasn't much of it, but there it is.
That's good and bad.
It's bad for us, but it's good for the world.
You know what? I'll take that.
All right, Jordan, guess what, though, buddy?
What?
Joke's on you this time.
Why?
Looks like my sponsorship reads have finally paid off.
I don't buy that at all.
Well, they have. episode, is this episode really sponsored by them, or is it just...
No, it's not a sponsorship. It's a...
well, there's a company called Survivor Guard. Survivor Guard sent us two... What did they send us? They sent us two different things.
The Ultimate Vitamin Formula, which is emergency preparedness, sustainable living, long-term storage, 60 capsules, and then the Expeditionary Supply, which is 14 capsules.
Right. And that one, I think the smaller one is for just like, I'm going camping.
Yeah, it's a 1 week supply.
Yeah.
It has 37 ingredients and NutriPrep.
Yeah.
Which
so
NutriPrep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So they basically sent us a month supply because you have to take 2 of those things every day. And I've been taking them, man. I mean, I can't. How can I review them for you? You know what I mean? Do I feel better?
I mean,
no, I don't. I'd never feel better. I feel worse. I always feel worse. But
well, if you looked at them, the like with the Expeditionary, with the NutriPep, supposed to enhance your sensory acuity, improve your situational awareness, and extend your physical endurance.
I don't know that that's true. I don't find myself any more aware or strong.
It doesn't say anything about strength. It's just alertness.
I feel more
energy,
weak, actually.
Clarity, focus, concentration.
Let me tell you, none of that is happening for me. I was on Facebook, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a friend you may know. And so I decided, I like that girl's face. So click on her, and she had some funny things to say, okay?
Okay.
And so she's friends with one of my friends. So I send my friend a message, and I'm like, what's up with that girl? And he messaged that girl, and that girl said for me to message her. So I messaged her. And it just didn't go anywhere. And
you're blaming this on Survivor Guard?
No. But what I'm saying is, because I don't know how to start a conversation with a stranger like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I had no idea what to say. So I am not focused. I am not any of the things that I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
So there you go. That's
I'm
my review.
I'm still confused.
Survivor Guard cannot help you get a girlfriend. No, man, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say about it other than, here's what I would say about it. Is it better suited to help you more so than another vitamin? I don't know. Maybe. It might be slightly better. It's certainly not more expensive. It's $15 for a month bottle. That seems fine. It's got a 3-year shelf life, which is nice.
I don't think it's necessarily, is it better? I think it's more
Jordan.
so what?
No, it's not better. And it's not any cheaper, and it's not any more expensive, and it's not any better at surviving, at making you survive an apocalypse. But this is what I will say about it. You got to support the brand. You know what I mean? Support the industry. I was looking at a bottle of Centrum Plus. It's not any better or worse than what Survivor Guard has. Do you know what Survivor Guard's doing that Centrum Plus isn't?
Sending us free shit.
Well, there's that. But they're also... That's the point I'm trying to make is, all things being equal, support the company that supports the things you're interested in. How's that?
Well, it's not just that. It's also the fact that it is gauged towards survival, not necessarily your everyday vitamin. So, it does have a lot of the same stuff that is in the normal, multivitamin that you get at a store. But the fact that it's supposed to, the 6 month, or the 60-day supply, I think, is supposed to be able to store for 10 years. It's definitely, everything has to have an expiration date, but Centrum and all that stuff, you're not going to really find them claiming, this can store for, 60 capsule Survivor Guard 1 month supply, 3-year shelf life, right. Which may be on par with others, but it is something that that you can have and throw in your bag and not necessarily have to be worried about
Well,
the expiration date
yeah,
until it kind of comes near.
And my whole thing with it, though, my whole thing is I don't think that they're any better for surviving than anything else probably is. My thought, though, is that this is a brand, this is a company that their mission is to support those endeavors.
Yeah.
So maybe these things aren't necessarily, head and shoulders above anything else. But if that's the case, help them out. Support them, and they'll develop other things.
Well, also, I mean, it seems that their pitches on their website don't necessarily go towards like, hey, get us because of this. It's mainly, long-term food storage. It says right here, long-term food storage can provide adequate quantities of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, but may be lacking in essential vitamins and trace elements. So I think that's kind of more of their thing, is make sure you take care of everything.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you might as well go with the brand that, is in that area, is in that industry. But I mean, their website looks pretty well put together. I mean, they list their ingredients. They list stuff about, the different types of capsules and everything, and then why you need to have these, what the deficiencies do. Like, it talks about scurvy with the vitamin C deficiency and several others.
It's got 100% vitamin A, C, D, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, vitamin K, B12. Yeah, it's for sure. It's got probably, especially compared to regular daily vitamins, this has everything in it.
Well, not to mention, if you get their larger amount, their 360 capsule, number 10 can, it's a 6-month supply, but it has a storage life of 10 years.
Right.
So you're talking, if you're going way down the road, you can get 2 of these and pretty much have,
enough for your whole family.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're in a situation where you live in an area where you have a lot of like flooding or hurricanes, stuff like that might knock you into, keep you in the house for a couple weeks, something like that, I would say for sure, why not just grab one of the 30-day supplies. You can just keep that in your bag or in your pantry with your other stuff, and you're pretty well set there. And it's only $14.95. You can find that by going to survivagard.com.
That's www.survivagard.com, survivagard.com. Give them a look.
And right now they have free shipping on all orders until May 15th. So
hopefully this episode can get out before then.
Yeah, it will. So yeah, fucking get off your ass and get some vitamins, you piece of shit. All right, so speaking of food and supplies, last time we talked a little bit about getting your food supply, getting a 2-week supply set up, and what sort of things you might want to focus on. But what about if you're thinking long term, Jordan? What if you're thinking I might need food for longer? What skill are you going to want to know?
I mean, there are several skills that you would want to have. Everything from canning, which would be pressure and water bath.
But what would the umbrella term for this be?
Food preservation.
He's done it.
What?
He's got it.
What is it?
You got it.
Oh, I got it?
Yeah, good job.
Yes.
So, what sort of good food preservation skills are there to know? What are some ways that we can preserve our food for long term?
Me. I was talking about pressure and water bath canning. There is dehydrating
canning? Let's start with that. What is water bath canning?
Water bath canning is basically just having a vessel large enough to be able to set your jars, aka cans, down in and let the water come up above the tops of the can, so that whenever it boils, the water boils, everything is underneath it. And that boiling water is basically, sterilizing, killing everything, and kind of cooking pressure, almost like a crock pot in a way, but that's for low acid food or high acid food. Sorry. So like salsas, pickling, and that sort of thing. And the pressure canning is done obviously in a pressure canner, but there's different types. There's weighted gauges, there's the dial gauges, there's the combos of those, but those are low acid foods. And in order to be able to preserve the low acid foods, other than drying and freezing, you need to be able to raise the temperature up high enough to kill the botulism spores, which is not 212. 212 is boiling water, which kills most things, but you have to get it up to at least 230, 240, or 250, somewhere in there, to be able to kill the botulism and actually be able to have safe canned food.
So why do I not have to? Why can't I just eat SpaghettiOs out of the can?
I mean, you can, and I guess you just eat the spaghettis out of the can and then take your Survivor Guard, and you may be able to.
You're fine, yeah.
You may be able to survive. I mean, which you can, and a lot of people do that. They'll buy it from the stores and store it. But the reason why you would want a can is if you have a garden, or you hunt and you have wild game in your freezers and stuff. So in the event that your electricity goes out, or you don't have the freezer space, having the ability to either water bath or pressure can gives you
So
that
I still don't understand
freedom.
water bathing. What is it? What do you mean?
It's literally a bath of water that you have your jars in, that you boil it, and you have to process it for a certain amount of time.
So it's just putting the jar in a boiling water?
Pretty much, like
Oh.
in the simplest term.
Why?
Or simplest way. Because you want to be able to heat the water up to at minimum, 212, and it's it's usually a highly acidic food, so you don't necessarily have to worry about the dangers that you would with low acidic food. And that's why you water bath can high acidic and you pressure can low acidic.
But why wouldn't you just put the salsa in a pot and heat it up?
Because you do, most people will usually kind of like pre-cook everything, which you can pressure can meat and you don't have to cook it beforehand because it does cook in the jars. But that's kind of the difference between whether you put water in the jar or not. If you do a hot pack where you cook it beforehand and put it in, you will add water. If you do a raw pack where you don't cook it, the juices from the meat will fill up the jar, so you don't have to worry about that.
So then what? So is water bathing, do you just do that before you store it?
That's how you can those certain foods.
I'm confused.
It's not that hard.
So I put the salsa in a jar.
So I'm going to direct you to a website.
I don't
It's for the
want it.
National. I know, but I'm saying that for you, but I'm meaning it for everyone else. The National Center for Home Food Preservation. It's nchfp.uga.edu, and they have a FAQ section that is immense. Everything from general questions to vegetables and fruits, meats, miscellaneous, can I can bread and cake?
Can you?
Actually, let's
Can you
go
can
and
cake?
see.
Cake will be
They are
so
not
big.
recommended for canning. They say to choose recipes that you can freeze.
Ew.
In fact, most of these products are not really canned. So,
Okay. Well, what other ways to preserve food are there?
you can freeze, which if you want to, that kind of gets into another world, chest freezer versus standing freezer, manual versus auto defrosting. Chest freezers are I think 99% of the time manual defrosting, and you you have to have some area to be able to store the frozen food that was in there when you do defrost, or you just chip off the ice and try to pull it out, or you just don't worry about it. The only difference between that and the auto is the auto defrosting will kind of turn off the freezer elements or whatever and lower the temperature enough that the ice will melt and not form, and then it kicks it back up to freeze it. So you don't necessarily have like constant frozen food because there is some form of melting and defrosting in that. So chest freezers are usually the way that most people say to go. And you can vacuum seal and store food in either, and you're going to have a less likely to be freezer burned. But auto defrosting is more likely to have freezer burn than chest freezers, the manual defrosting.
But
you can,
will freezer burn affect the content
texture,
or just but it won't.
It
make
affects
it
the texture
bad.
and taste.
Yeah, so that's who cares.
I mean, it may get to the point where you just don't want to eat it.
Listen, if you're a hungry boys will eat anything.
I mean, that is true.
So you've been I know that you've been getting into pressure canning a lot lately. What are some of the prices on the things you've been looking at lately? If you want to, I don't even have to give you an example because you're the example. How much do you think you're going to end up having to put into this to get started?
Well, right now I am in about $120, and I haven't even started yet.
But what does that got?
So that got me a 16-quart dial/weighted gauge canner, and it got me 2 cases of jars and lids, extra lids.
So you're doing all jars. You're not doing cans.
Well, I mean, when they say canning, for the most part, it is actually jars, mason jars. Right. It's just called canning. But yeah, I mean, that's the main reason why I was wanting to do it was to do water. As we've mentioned in past podcasts that, when Hurricane Irma came kind of through the area, that, water was the first thing to go, water and gas. And it got to a point to where you didn't know if you were going to be able to get any extra water. And I kind of thought, let's just nip that problem in the bud. And so whenever, they say if you're going to be processing food and you don't have enough or you have too many jars and not enough space or enough space in the canner to where you can kind of throw some extra stuff in there, just put some water in a jar, throw it in there with it, process the food. And then afterwards, you've got a jar of sterile water that you can use for drinking or wound cleaning.
So why would you jar the water instead of just buying a thing of water bottles?
You can do both. You can do one. You can do the other. I just want to do that with the jars just so I can make it myself. I can know that I will have it. So if I go to the store, if I say I don't have any on hand, and I go to the store to get bottled water because, there's a hurricane coming, say I'm not prepared at that moment, which, sometimes you're caught in, especially if you have a working pantry or something that you're pulling from and using, you may not have that on hand. And if you haven't been able to, whether it's financially or just time to go to the store, then that moment you try to go and get it and they don't have it, you can immediately go home, fill up some of your jars, process them, and now you have, depending on how big your canner is and how many jars you have, you could, have a week's worth of water in a few hours.
So how long does the process of canning anything take?
It depends. Everything has a different processing time. It's just the only thing that you really have to remember is whatever the longest time is of something that is in a jar, that's the time you go with. So if you're making beef stew, you're going to want to look at the processing time of each of the ingredients within that and whichever one is the longest. So if, say, you have potatoes, carrots, and meat, and the potatoes and carrots only have to be processed for 30 minutes, but the meat has to be processed at 90. You have to process that entire jar at 90 minutes. and your pressure depends upon your elevation. So, where I'm at, and I think depending where you're, y'all are above 1,000 feet, aren't you?
Probably.
Yeah. So you would have to process at 15 pounds, whereas I would have to process at 10 pounds because I'm below 1,000 feet.
Okay. So what do you do here? So I'm looking at pictures. So you put the stuff in the can, in the jar,
Yeah, in the jar, yeah.
and then you put the jars in the pot.
You want to make sure that you clean lids and the rim, make sure there's no gouges or chips or anything, because you want to make sure that lid will seal. And so once you get everything in there, you put them in there, you turn your heat up, and then depending on what your instructions for your particular canner and or recipe or jars say determines how long and what you do to process that.
So how much did you pay for your pressure canner?
So springtime is a good time to get this stuff because it usually goes on sale. And I picked mine up for $65.
Where'd you buy it at?
I think I got it online on Amazon.
So what sort of things are you looking for in that? What makes one pressure canner better than another?
It depends on what you're comfortable with, because they have a reputation for being dangerous. If you turn it on and it's going and you walk outside for 30 minutes and you're not in there to know if the pressure has risen to a dangerous level, the thing may blow up on your stovetop. And so there's a lot of people that in botulism. It can, if you don't process your food correctly, it can be anywhere from you just have a bad jar to you have a bad batch to the jar explodes and now there's botulism on everything, and you can die just by having skin contact with it. So it's got a lot of supposed cons to it, or assumed cons, and some people are just scared to do it.
So I don't understand. You keep mentioning botulism. I don't understand where this is coming from.
You know what botulism is,
right? But I don't understand why. I don't understand the risk here of that.
Because you are, because everything, all foods, you have these spores and this bacteria and all this stuff on you. It's in nature. It's just whenever it is allowed to thrive in a low oxygen environment is when it gets dangerous.
Right.
And so when you're canning, you're causing a vacuum. You are creating a low oxygen environment. So if your lids don't seal correctly, if you don't process for the correct amount of time, if your pressure doesn't get up to where it needs to be, you are literally creating the environment for these things to grow.
I don't understand though why it would explode botulism everywhere.
Because think about, this may be a bad example, but a rotting carcass out in the sun, they swell up and blow up sometimes. It's the same thing. Like if you've ever been into home brewing, your beer bottles, your wine bottles, you can have too much carbonation going on in there, and if you're using either low-rated PSI bottles or you just have a very overactive, fermentation while it's bottling, those things can explode. And so it's the same concept, but with the jars and the canning.
So you're saying that pressure canning is dangerous?
I mean, anything is dangerous. It's not as dangerous if you do what you're supposed to.
What are you supposed to do? What are the pressure canning tips?
Jesus Christ. Follow the instructions.
Just follow the instructions.
Read the manual of your canner, whether it's water bath, whether it is pressure. And that was one of the things, like with mine, is I wanted to make sure I got a dial gauge and a weighted gauge, because dial gauges, you have to get them checked out every year. You need to contact your local extension office and get the actual gauge tested to make sure that it's accurate. And so I didn't want to just go off of the weighted gauge, because I haven't done this before. I've seen it happen. I've watched it happen. My grandma canned, my mom canned and still cans, my mother-in-law cans. I've been around it, I just haven't done it. So I just want to make sure that I have the ability to have the most accurate information. And so
what besides water, what are you planning on canning?
I mean, it's literally anything. I want to do meat, have a lot of protein and stuff on hand, because there's a lot of time. And this is also not necessarily for the storage aspect. It's for the ease of use as well. So we freeze meat. And so sometimes it's just not timely to be able to like sit there and okay, well, I got to thaw out this hamburger meat or the steak or whatever. And so you can have that on your shelf and ready to go. It's already cooked. You just have to add it to whatever you're cooking and you're good.
Yeah. And another part of that too is not only just the aspect of like, oh God, I got to wait for this hamburger to thaw out, but also if you're in a situation where you have to move locations for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Now you're like, oh great, I've got this frozen half a rack of ribs. Got to get somewhere quick so it doesn't thaw out. Or if you've got cans, it's just like, okay, no problem. Put them wherever I want.
I mean, they make these polycarbonate cases that you can store them in either before or after you can, just so that it protects the bottles, or you can just put them back into the box that they came in.
So do you always have to put water in it? Like if I cooked if I just cooked like some chicken breasts and I put them in the jar, do I need to put water with the chicken in the jar?
If you cook them beforehand, they do suggest that, yes, you need to either add water or broth into the jar, because it's just, that's a part of, I haven't really delved that deep, but I do know that you're supposed to. But if you can raw meat, you don't have to add water. And it depends on where you read. Some places say you don't have to. Some say you need to add a little bit. Some say you need to add a lot, and that's why there are places like the NCHFP that these are authorities on it. So if you ever have any questions, you can refer to the website Ball. They have their canning books that they put out every so often. They're usually always in the aisle with all the canning stuff. It's information that you can find. It's just you want to make sure that you find it in the correct area, because if you go to YouTube and you're watching somebody and they have their recipe, but it may not be an actual tested recipe, so you may be killing yourself if you try it.
How would you kill yourself?
Botulism.
Is that going to just be the answer here?
I mean, pretty much.
It's time for everyone's favorite part of the show.
Yay.
Listener email.
It's a listener email. So we don't actually have any any emails this week, but we kind of do. We just have a lot of people asking to be on the show.
No big deal.
I think we have 4 people that we're setting up right now. For different interviews. But Jordan, who there has been some people reaching out to us on Instagram.
Yeah, we've gotten several companies that have given us discount codes and stuff, which we are in the process of finding out if we can share those. But one young gentleman by the name of the Snazzy Virgin, that is THE_SNAZZY_VIRGIN, the Snazzy Virgin on Instagram, contacted us because he saw one of the posts about episode 3 and messaged and said, hey, I'm checking this out. But he wanted to make sure that we knew that he really enjoys the idea, this was you, Ryan, of getting murdered being an embarrassing way to die.
It is.
He thought it was, he said, and I quote, unique, innovative, snazzy.
Yes.
And then he also thinks that we should run for president in 2020 with him.
Not going to happen.
I mean, you never know. It could.
I'm not going to do it.
But he also wanted to let you know that He loves the sound effects. Loves that sound effects can be the only tradable commodity.
Oh yeah, they will be. That's not even a question.
And he really enjoyed when we talked about a hunter finding a moose carcass and thinking it's Bigfoot.
Oh yes, those are
And
all
we've opened up a whole new snazzy world.
Yes.
So, but I do think that we need to get him on here.
And yeah, we're gonna try to. We're gonna try to get some people on so that we can talk to about some questions. We've got a couple authors and a couple experts
Oh, really?
who want to try to talk to us.
Give me a little taste. Experts in what?
Well, some of them are more experts than the others. A couple of people have been experts. They're like
And one's a high school kid.
they're either survival people or they might be outdoor experts. Or I talked to one guy who was a cybersecurity expert, and we kind of chatted a little bit about stuff, how cybersecurity could play into some issues like with North Korea, things like that. But
I'm
then
gonna dare him to hack you.
But then, other people that I've talked to, I got an email in here that an expert who's interested in the show is a timeshare expert. And I just don't know that I need to know about timeshares when the world ends.
Hey, what if it's a bunker timeshare?
Oh, I don't think those exist, really.
They will now.
What does that even? But that doesn't make sense as a timeshare because
I know that's why.
timeshare
That's the
means
scam part of it.
So it's just for 3 weeks out of the year you could survive an apocalypse.
You and your family can be safe.
That's actually not a bad fucking scam.
Not necessarily saying that all timeshares are scams. I do know people who enjoy theirs. I also know some people who purchased them not really knowing what they were doing.
Well, I mean, and nothing's a scam if you enjoy it.
That is true. That is true. I mean, if you like people robbing you, like say that's a kink of yours, there's no kink shaming here.
No kink shaming here.
But if you're into that, then hey,
yeah,
good for you.
Whatever floats your boat or steals it is fine by us.
Yep.
So if you guys have questions or you have feedback or comments, you can send us an email at prepperboys@gmail.com. You could also reach out to us on Instagram at prepperboys or on Twitter at prepperboys. Those are all ways to get a hold of us and let us know. Or you could just comment on this. Depending on where you're listening. If you're listening to us on Podbean, you can just comment from Facebook. Oh, I guess you could also reach out to us on Facebook.
Yeah.
At the Prepper
and
Boys
on
Podcast.
Instagram, you can comment or DM. We will answer.
We will. You can slide into our DMs, boy.
Yeah. And girls, too.
And girls, too. Get them pussies wet in our DMs.
Texted you.
About?
You know what it's about.
No, I don't.
I don't know. I was kind of lying. I was just trying to see if you were going to say anything.
Oh, well, whatever then. You know what time of the show it is?
What time?
Let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap this up, Jordan. So, what have we talked about today?
Botulism?
Yep, botulism.
South Korea.
North Korea.
And South Korea. They're a part of that.
It wasn't an argument.
Everything with you is an argument.
Kind of not. Kind of true. Mostly true. What else? Oh, and Survivor Guard.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Also, I can't find a girlfriend on Facebook. So, she'd be so jealous, though, when I'm surviving the end of the world.
Yeah, and she's just, dead.
Yeah. Fuck her, dude.
But whoever you do find, they're going to be pretty stoked whenever you tell them about your Doomsday Bunker timeshare.
And all my vitamins.
Your vitamins.
My vitamins stored up.
We don't say that here. We say it the American way. It's vitamins.
Yeah, who's fuck all of England, man. We don't support England on this show.
It's getting too close to the 4th of July for me to say anything else.
Goddamn right. No, England's going to be one of the first places to go because it's just an island. That water level's going to rise, boy.
If you think about it, they're all just islands.
No, don't be like that. No, because an
Oh, I
island is
will.
floating. An island's not connected to the bottom.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Islands don't sit there and
Yep.
float.
Yep, islands just float. All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of the Prepper Boys podcast. Episode number 5. Jordan, we're up to 5.
I know. That's the most I've ever done of almost anything in
That's
my
pretty
life.
good, I think. So remember to check us out on iTunes. Well, if you haven't already, you might already have if you're listening to this. But leave us a
And
review. Leave us a
Podbean.
review and leave us a rating. And check us out on Podbean too. Download it from both places. Download it a bunch of times from both places. Doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, let's stack those numbers.
Yeah, let's get them numbers fudged. And then remember too, you can reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. You can also email us at prepperboys@gmail.com. Jordan,
Prepper Boys,
do you have any parting words for us today?
don't fuck up.
Prepper boys, do spade. We gotta survive. Yeah, we gotta survive. To stay alive. Yeah, to stay alive. You better be ready, or you better be steady. No, you don't be pathetic. It can happen. Prepper boys, you just gotta watch it all. It can happen. Prepper boys, when the backs against the wall. It can happen. Prepper boys, and there's no one left to call. It can happen. Prepper boys, it can happen any minute.